Firaxis Games are a lot like someone that goes to a restaurant and orders the same thing every time. They stick to what they know, afraid to peer out of what else the world has to offer. Every once in a while they do decide to pop their heads out from under the blanket and attempt to explore something a bit different. XCOM was a damn fine start to that, creating a modernised reboot of a classic squad-based tactical strategy game. I was very surprised despite feeling it was a bit dumbed down and modernised a little bit too much, but beggars can't be choosers. XCOM 2, however, goes even a mile further by completely changing the formula of XCOM from being military tactics to guerrilla. That sounds fucking awesome. XCOM was starting to get a wee bit stale to the point that you could bludgeon someone to death with it like a week-old baguette. Then you boot up XCOM 2 and find it runs like Del Boy Trotter's van from Only Fools and Horses. It coughs, splutters and regularly vomits all over the place like someone with whooping cough. I am digressing, aren't I? The game has performance issues. It makes your 32GB RAM 4GB graphics mega computer seem like a Pentium 2, and I'm only mildly exaggerating. As you might have guessed already, XCOM 2 is developed by Firaxis Games and published by 2K Games. The game takes place 20 years after the events of XCOM, with a continuation of where the aliens won the war, since the aliens and humanity have lived together in peace. Of course, there are those who suspect this peace between humanity and the aliens is but a cover-up for the real plans and agenda. After a group of resistance members rescue the XCOM commander, the commander being you, the XCOM project is once again active. The new XCOM base is an alien ship known as the Avenger, and from here the resistance under the command of you must find what the aliens are up to and put a stop to it. From here the slaughter begins, where optimistic rookies get blown up and turned into zombies, while hardened veterans spend about 20 days recovering from life-threatening injuries. Yeah, it's a hard fucking game. Almost Darkest Dungeon masochistic hard. You will be losing plenty of agents, and equally as many will be spending time recovering from wounds. The guerrilla warfare is certainly a nice touch and a welcome take on the standard XCOM formula. Completely different tactics must be used compared to the previous game. There's no sitting your soldiers behind cover sucking their thumbs in Overwatch waiting for an alien to poke its head around a tree. Doing so will quickly lead to being flanked and probed right up the bum. The AI has a bit more intelligence than a doorknob this time round. Combat works pretty much the same way as that of the first game. The player must take a turn and the aliens take a turn. The cover is just as important as before, perhaps even more so in the sequel. There are a few new mechanics added to XCOM 2, such as hacking and soldiers concealed at the start of the missions. The specialist class can hack various computers and security systems, allowing an easier time for the squad to move around the map undetected or gain various bonuses. At the start of most missions, the squad is concealed and can move around the map without getting the attention of enemies, as assuming the aliens don't see them. Once a squad member has been spotted, concealment is no longer active. It is perfect for setting up ambushes against squads of enemies before getting attacked and brutally murdered. This being guerrilla tactics as opposed to the military, the odds are always against you from the get-go. The sectoids are far more powerful this time around in every way. Enemy weaponry is far more powerful and their skills are lethal. That is not mentioning enemies are far more coordinated and smart than in the previous game. XCOM 2 makes the original aliens feel like they sent in the mentally challenged to war the first time. What inconsiderate assholes. So yes, the aliens have begun taking steroids along with getting much required upgrade of brain juice. There are new enemies such as Vipers, which can grab a soldier from a distance and bound them, slowly crushing them with its body. Advent soldiers are a hybrid of human and alien, which are the general military and peacekeeping forces of the aliens. That is, of course, just two of some new enemies. There are still some combat issues that have moved over from the original to the sequel. The camera sometimes stares directly at the very uninteresting rock that is behind the soldier as opposed to focusing on them. When attacking in Overwatch, the soldier tracking of the enemy is off and can end up taking their anger out on the floor while still magically hitting the alien. Flanking sometimes works and sometimes doesn't. In one instance I flanked an enemy from behind, and even without any cover at all my soldier still gained no bonus. There is still the attacking through the walls issue that pissed a lot of players off in the previous game, though it isn't quite as bad in XCOM 2. The biggest culprit for attacking through walls is the Viper with the tongue attack to grab and bring a soldier over to its scorpion style. It can do this even if a soldier is within a building and the Viper outside, straight through a wall. My first response to that was, Firaxis, you assholes! And immediately reloaded my previous save game out of annoyance. Between juiced up aliens, the game being guerrilla warfare, and enemies still being able to attack through walls, XCOM 2 on normal is superhuman in the old XCOM games. Its difficulty would be enough to consider it hardcore and give more casual players a few heart attacks from stress. I can't help but feel that it will alienate some of the more casual players. So we have an extremely difficult game even in normal difficulty. Think you can put up with that? Well, how do you feel about mission timers? Did I say mission timers? Yep, that is right, and they are in nearly all the missions. 90% of the missions in XCOM 2 do have mission timers where the player must complete them within X number of turns. With that said, there are mods within the Steam Workshop to turn off most of the mission timers, but I call bollocks on that. There should be an option to turn it off in the game. Yes, it makes sense to have them. Yes, this is what guerrilla warfare is all about. Get in, get out quick. This, however, is 2016, and every developer out there should know that mission timers are enough to make a large percentage of players want to talk to God on the white telephone. To make them mandatory in a 2016 game where modders have to create a way to turn them off is fucking ridiculous. I don't mind them. I find that they add to the intensity and cause you to use more than 5% of your standard brain power to win. Intensity and stress from video games just aren't for everyone. But getting back to the point, the base management of XCOM 2 is pretty similar to that of the original. You research, construct, manufacture, sell alien artifacts, etc., etc. It is a geoscape that has the most change to it than anything else, again due to the game being guerrilla warfare. The Avenger is a mobile base which allows the player to move around the globe. The player has to establish communications with the resistance groups throughout the world, building communication towers as they go along. As time progresses, various supply caches and the likes are located where the player must send the Avenger to scavenge. This process can take a certain number of days. As time progresses, events happen which require XCOM to deal with, including rescue missions, sabotage, supply truck ambush, and so on and so forth. Overall, it isn't that different from the original XCOM games, but the new mechanics allow the player to have more interaction with the world. It forces the player to make more decisions than that of simply just operations at the base and controlling missions. It makes you feel far more important, and your decisions can make a difference. Just like in the previous game, there are events where you have some options and you can only choose one. Each one has its consequence if you don't complete it, leading to a tougher time and more problems. It was an effective mechanic in the original game and without a doubt an effective one here. Expect to be in situations of having to make hard decisions during such events. The player customization returns in the sequel with more options to create your soldiers and modify current ones at your disposal. I wouldn't, however, call it a big increase in customization, nor would it be to the extent of something like Skyrim or Ark Survival Evolved. Nevertheless, it does tend to absorb you, and you wonder where an hour has gone on one soldier. The soldier classes have all changed and include Ranger, Specialist, Grenadier, Sharpshooter and Psyop. Each class has their skills to choose from, with each level up just like in the previous game. There are new skills along with some from XCOM returning, adjusted slightly. Let's move on to the performance issues, which include drops in frames per second, massive memory usage, occasional crashes, freezing, long loading times and long waiting frames between turns. Some may believe that due to this being a turn-based game, the FPS is not so much an issue, but I disagree. If anything, it ruins immersion and the overall flow of the camera moving with soldiers while attacking and moving. You are paying top dollar, in my case euro, for a product. €50 is no small amount of money, and paying so much you would expect it to be in good working order. If this were a small indie company, people would be going into pure bloodlust and anger rants, and it wouldn't even cost half the price. I mean, anger equal to that of the Irish people if Bono got shot, but I am digressing again. I think the reason I'm so angry at Firaxis for the performance issues is due to them only having one platform to work on this time. XCOM 2 is a PC exclusive. Did you like playing the original on Xbox? Sorry, you need a computer this time around. Fair enough if they wanted to go for PC exclusive, but that should leave them less reason for there to be issues. For fuck's sake, these issues were present in the review and preview copies sent out to people before the official release. Why was this not fixed? Why even after the first patch are these problems still occurring? What are the staff doing? Are they sitting around the office picking their noses? Probably not. A more sensible guess would be they have already started working on the expansion. Overall, XCOM 2 is a damn fine game, and that has brought down from being one of the finest video games made in recent years due to performance issues and general brutality. The new direction that the sequel takes is simply brilliant, well planned and impressively designed. The graphics are simply beautiful, and the attention to detail on the characters is really good. The difficulty is a bit jarring for more casual XCOM players, but it will certainly put some of the more masochistic players right into their ideal playground. It is enough in the game that it is still XCOM, and enough of a difference to give it a fresh feel. The mission timers will either be loved or hated, but as I previously stated, it is possible to get rid of them. Or at least most of them. The new class designs are really good and planned out and feel more balanced than that of the previous installment. XCOM 2 is a game that you will either love or hate. There is no in the middle with it, and with that I give it a 7 out of 10. It has been fun playing an XCOM game with a new formula, but that's about it. I just hope with XCOM 3 they don't go making it into space. We don't want another Interceptor. I don't care if Firaxis just wanted to go to space.